ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome to the Isopanishads bhaktisashtri course. We are on mantra 14. This is the last of the mantras in this particular section, which deals with the right upasana. We saw the right vidya from mantras 9 to 11 and mantras 12 to 14. What is the right upasana? And just like vidya and avidya had different meanings based on the context in the verse, sambhuti and asambhuti have different meanings. So let us see in this last verse what is the meaning of sambhuti and asambhuti. Mantra 14. Sambhutim cha vinasham cha yastadvedo vayam saha vinashena mrityum tritva sambhutyam amritam ashnute. One should know perfectly yah tad veda. What he should know? The personality of Godhead Sri Krishna and his transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Sambhutim cha. So here Prabhupada gives not only a translation but a exhaustive explanation of what Sambhuti is. It's not just knowing uh, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but his name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Nama Tattva, Rupa Tattva, Guna Tattva, Leela Tattva. All this. As well as Ubayam Saha, the temporary material creation with its temporary demigods, men and animals. Vinasham Cha. When one knows these, he surpasses death and the ephemeral cosmic manifestation with it. Vinashena mrityum tritva. And in the eternal kingdom of God, he enjoys his eternal life of bliss and knowledge. Sambutyam amritam ashnute. So here, as we had mentioned that Sambhuti and Asambhuti have different meanings in different contexts. So in Mantra 14, Asambhuti refers to the knowledge of the material world, and Sambhuti refers to the knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So both these are required in order to transcend the material world and to enter into the spiritual world. So one should know the material energy Maya and not to get trapped in Maya. And that's not one-sided attempt. One should know the spiritual energy, the eternal abode of the Lord, the eternal pastimes of the Lord happening, and one should enter into these pastimes. So both are required. So if you have only knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but you don't have knowledge of the material world, then you can get trapped in Maya. And the classic example, anyone can give any example to illustrate this or substantiate this point? That both the knowledge are required, Sambhuti and Asambhuti. Knowledge of the material world and knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Any classic example anyone can think of? From any of the pastimes, Bhagavatam, Ramayana, Mahabharata. Anyone can think of anything? Why all devotees are having a deep silence? The Isopanisad class. The classic example for me, what comes to my mind is of Rishashinga. Rishashinga was bought by his father, I don't remember the Rishi's name, in the forest, and he was never exposed to the outside world. And he did not know the difference between a male and a female. And there was a drought in the kingdom, and it was told by the rishis or the brahmanas that only if Rishashinga enters into the kingdom, then there'll be rain. But how to get him in? Then they hatched this plan. So they sent the females and they pulled him and got him in. That's how. So Prabhuji, somebody has typed as Bibhanda. I don't know in what context you are narrating. Yes, Dwarkadish Prabhuji?
It's father of Rishashinga.
Oh, Bibhanda Rishi. Okay, okay. Oh, yes. Any other examples which come to your mind? Why it is important to know the knowledge of the material world as well as the knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? We should have the knowledge of the Maya Shakti, how the Maya Shakti is working. In order to go into the spiritual, we have to first maneuver to the material energy and not get caught up in the material energy. So that's why both is required. Okay. So now let's go to the overview of Mantra 14. Vinashena. Nothing, not even science, can make this world deathless. Paragraphs 1 and 2. This is what is the theme. So let us go theme wise and let us now discuss paragraph 1 and 2. Okay. Yes. The paragraphs 1 and 2. Who will read? Raise your hands. Who will read paragraphs 1 and 2? Devhuti Kapil Prabhuji. Yes, Devhuti Kapil Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
By its so called advancement of knowledge, human civilization has created many material things, including spaceships and atomic energy. Yet it has failed to create a situation in which people need not die, take birth again, become old, or suffer from disease. Whenever an intelligent man raises the question of these mysteries before a so called scientist, the scientist very clearly replies that material science is progressing and that ultimately it will be possible to render man deathless, ageless, and diseaseless. Such answers prove the scientist's gross ignorance of material nature. In material nature, everyone is under the stringent laws of matter and must pass through six stages of existence: birth, growth, maintenance, production of byproducts, deterioration, and finally death. No one in contact with material nature can be beyond these six laws of transformation. Therefore, no one, whether demigod, man, animal, or plant, can survive forever in this material world. The duration of life varies according to species. Lord Brahma, the chief living being within this material universe, lives for millions and millions of years, while a minute germ lives for some hours only. But no one in the material world can survive eternally. Things are born or created under certain conditions. They stay for some time, and if they continue to live, they grow, procreate, gradually dwindle, and finally vanish. According to these laws, even the Brahmas, of which there are millions in different universes, are all liable to death either today or tomorrow. Therefore, the entire material universe is called Martya Loka, the place of death.
Yeah. Prabhupada's purport is so, hitting and punching, and he's giving, due credit where credit is to be given. That and Prabhupada's use is so precise, so-called advancement of knowledge, he says, where there is spaceship, atomic energy. But, there is no situation where there is no birth, death, old age, and disease. And if an intelligent man asks, then Prabhupada says, the so-called scientist says, oh, we will, we are progressing and will definitely make man deathless, ageless, and diseaseless. And, you know, Prabhupada says this is scientist's gross ignorance of material nature, because material nature means it goes through this Shad Vikar. So we'll come to this concept of Shad Vikar in the slides. And the spirit soul coming in touch with matter goes through the six transformations, and that's why no one can eternally live in this material world. Yatra Mrityu Parasparam. That's also Uttara in her prayers. Pai Pahi Mahayogin Deva Deva Jagatpate. Very beautiful uh, prayer in the Srimad Bhagavatam. I think in the first canto, seventh chapter. Uh, seventh, yeah, seventh only it is, I think. Hmm. Oh no, I think it is the eighth chapter. Very famous prayer of Uttara. Yes, Pahi Pahi Mahayogin Deva Deva Jagatpate Nanyam Twad Abhayam Pashe. I don't see except you. Yatra Mrityu Parasparam. So, Prabhupada in the one cannot save himself from the cruel hands of death in the material world without having surrendered himself at the lotus feet of the Lord. And Prabhupada says the world of duality is composed of matter and spirit. This material world is a world of duality, and that's why it is composed of matter and spirit. So the Spirit soul, which is in contact with matter, has to go through these transformations. And the Shad Vikar transformation varies, the time scale varies based on the species, right? From Lord Brahma to an ant. An ant might live for just hours, Brahma is living for millions of, that's it. But still, all the Brahmas in the millions of universes, Prabhupada is saying, have to die today or tomorrow. And that's why this entire material universe is called as a Martya Loka. In fact, Earth is called as a Martya Loka. But now a bigger picture, a broader picture, Prabhupada is presenting here that the entire material universe itself is called as Martya Loka. That's why in one of the famous Upanishadic verse, Tamasoma Jyotirgamo Mrityumam Amritagamayo. This entire material world is the place of death. Place of death. So let's go into the concept of Shad Vikar. So in the Bhagavad Gita, while Krishna explains the qualities of the soul, in 2.20 he says, Na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah ajo nitya shashvato yam purano ahanyate hanyamane sharire. The soul is never born, na jayate, nor does it die, na mriyate. Whereas the body is born, the body dies. Neither it was born in the past, na ayam bhutva, nor it will be born in the future. Na va bhuya bhavitha. It has no growth. The body has growth. Not decay. The body has decay. Not transformation. The body undergoes the transformation. Being more ancient, Shashvata, but not subject to aging. Purana. Thus it is not killed, na hanyate, when the body is killed. So this is Baldev Vidyabhushan's translation. Because Baldev Vidyabhushan brings out this, Shad Vikars. So I will go into that now. So this is Baldev Vidyabhushan's commentary. This verse confirms the eternal nature of the Atma mentioned previously by showing that it is devoid of the six changes mentioned by Yaksha. So the soul is devoid of six changes, Shad Vikar. Now we are studying Shad Vikar, not of matter. The matter undergoes Shad Vikar. The Atma doesn't undergo Shad Vikars. So that's what we are studying. Please remember that. So what are the Shad Vikars? Jayate, Asti, Vardate, Viparamate, Apekshayate, Vinashanti. Jayate means birth. Asti means existence. Vardate means to increase. And Viparinamamate means transformation. And Apekshayate means decay. And Vinashati means dying. So there is birth, there is growth, there is, maintenance, there is birth, maintenance, growth, then there is byproducts, then there is decaying, and there is death. So Yashka is one of the writers of the dictionaries, just like you have the Collins dictionary or the Macmillan dictionary. So the Macmillan is the author of that dictionary. So similarly, Nirukti is a Sanskrit dictionary, and Yaska has defined these six changes. Now, for the soul, we are seeing how it is devoid of the six changes. With the words na jayate mriyate, the Atma is not born, nor does it die at any time. Creation and destruction are both excluded. So there's no creation of the Atma, nor destruction of the Atma. And just as in the past, the Jiva was never born, the future, it will never be born again. This indicates that the Jiva will never take another birth and a different existence. So the Jiva is eternally existent. So Asti, this is indicated by Asti word in the Yaska's statement. One should also not think that this Atma ever increases or becomes more. This is indicated by Vardate in Yaska's verse. From its present state, na bhuya. So the Atma's constitution remains the same. It is 1/10,000th part of a tip of a hair. Whereas the body undergoes, increase. From child's body, you grow to a youth body and then old age body. The reason why it will not become greater is then stated with the words ajo nitya. Things subject to birth and death, such as trees, also grow after birth and then die. The jiva having neither birth or death, ajo nitya, aja means no birth and it is eternal, also does not have growth. Because it is aja and nitya, it doesn't have growth. Na bhuya. Shashvata means that the jiva does not decay. It exists at all times without decay. So the jiva is existing at all times. So apayekshate in Yashka's verse, decay is represented. The word Purana indicates the soul is without change or transformation. The body undergoes transformation, Shadvikar, but the soul doesn't undergo transformation. Vi Paranamate. Though the Atma is Pura, ancient, it is never new. It never has to take another new form. Thus, the Atma, devoid of the six changes, is called Nitya. Since the Atma has this nature, when the body is killed, the Atma is not killed. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Now, Prabhupada in one of the lectures now brings out the Shadvikar transformation of the matter, which is, the combination of spirit and matter. This is Prabhupada lecture, Srimad Bhagavatam 765, December 7, 1975, Vrindavan. So Prahlad Maharaj concludes his instruction in this way. Tato yatate kushala shemaya bhavam ashrita. Bhavam means this material world where we take birth and die after some time. Bhavam means become manifest. This is the material world. We take birth, we exist for some time, we grow, and then there are some byproducts, and then we become old and then die. So these are the Shadvikars Prabhupada is speaking here. This is called Shadvikar, 6 kinds of changes, but the Atma is the same. So we saw the Atma is the same in Baldev Vidyabhushan's commentary to 2.20. The example is given just like a tree, any tree, say mango tree. During season, summer season, there are flowers in the tree and then they grow a small green mango, then it becomes yellow, reddish, and then it becomes ripened. Then there is a seed within the mango, and then when it is over ripened, it falls down. Then finished, business finished. Similarly, when the mango is finished, it does not mean the tree is also finished. So here Prabhupada is giving the example in this comparison, the tree is compared to the Atma and the mango is compared to the body, which is undergoing the Shadvikar. The tree is there, and again in the next season, there will be a mango and the same changes will go on. So the tree again is the Atma body. So once the body decays and dies, then you go through the transmigration again, birth, death, old age, disease. Similarly, it is a crude example. We spirit soul, we are eternally exactly like the tree. Tree is not eternal, but in comparison to the fruit, it is eternal. So the example is given, the comparison, you should not stretch it, you have to use it to understand the principle and, oh, how can you say tree is not eternal, tree also dies. But in comparison to fruit, it is eternal. A tree lives for hundreds, 1,000, 500 years, and the same business goes on. The mango, it is coming in fruit, just like flower, then green, then grows, and then dwindles. So we are eternal, and our different bodies are just like the seasonal fruits. On account of our different karma, we get different body. So this body is undergoing 6 kind of changes. But the soul, he is not going any change that we saw from Baldev Vidyabhushan. He is the same. So here, firstly, also, it's a very important concept we should understand. Prabhupada uses the word living being. So the living being means what? The soul which is in a body. So the living being undergoes these 6 transformations. And the non-living being is like just matter. So the matter undergoes only Three transformations: creation, deterioration, destruction. But the living being, that is the combination of matter and spirit, it undergoes six transformation. There is growth. Matter doesn't expand. Just like today, you have uh, a mobile phone. After a few days, it will not grow and become big, and there is no reproduction of the mobile will not produce another mobile. There's no maintenance. It doesn't go through deterioration and death. So there is birth, deterioration, and death, which is for non-living, and for the living, there's the shed vikar. So that's a difference also we should understand. So this is regarding the concept of shed vikar. We will now go to the next paragraph theme. Sambhutim cha vinasham cha. Vedas give information about death-filled and death-free world. So both, Vedas give information. That is from paragraphs 3 to 6. So let us discuss paragraph 3 to 6. But before that, any questions regarding up till now, what we have discussed about the Shad Vikar, living and non-living, the Shad Vikar which the living beings go through, and there is only three Vikar, you can say, three Vikar which non-living beings go through. Anyone has any questions, any clarifications? Okay, so then we will go now to paragraphs 3 to 6, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So who will read? Volunteers, only one. Okay, then Lakshmi Mataji. Sevini Mataji, you can read next. Okay. Yes, Mataji. Paragraph 3. This is 3, 4, 5, and 6. All this you'll have to read. Okay, let's go to paragraph 3. Okay, can start.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Material scientists and politicians are trying to make this place deathless because they have no information of the deathless spiritual nature. This is due to their ignorance of the Vedic literature, which contains full knowledge confirmed by mature transcendental experience. Unfortunately, modern man is averse to receiving knowledge from the Vedas, Puranas, and other scriptures. From the Vishnu Purana 6.7.61, we recite the following information. Vishnu Shakti Paraprokta Kshetra Nyakya Tata Para Avidya Karma Samnyanaya Tritya Shakti Ishyate. Chaitanya Charitamrita 6.154. Lord Vishnu, the personality of Godhead, possesses different energies known as Para, superior, and Apara, inferior. The living entities belong to the superior energy. The material energy in which we are presently entangled is the inferior energy. The material creation is made possible by this energy, which covers the living entities with ignorance, avidya, and induces them to perform fruitive activities. Yet, there is another part of the Lord's superior energy that is different from both this material and inferior energy and the living entities. That superior energy constitutes the eternal deathless abode of the Lord. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 8.20. Parastasmatu bhavo anyo avyaktyo avyaktat sanatanaha yasa sarveshu bhuteshu nasyatshu na vinashyati. All the material planets, upper, lower, and intermediate, including the Sun, Moon, and Venus, are scattered throughout the universe. These planets exist only during the lifetime of Brahma. So, lower planets, however, are vanquished after the end of one day of Brahma, and are again created during the next day of Brahma. On the upper planets, time is calculated differently. One of our years is equal to only 24 hours or 1 day and night. On many of the upper planets, the four ages of Earth, Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali, last only 12,000 years according to the time scale of the upper planets. Such a length of time multiplied by 1,000 constitutes 1 day of Brahma, and 1 night of Brahma is the same. Such days and nights accumulate into months and years, and Brahma lives for 100 such years. At the end of Brahma's life, the complete universal manifestation is vanquished.
Continue.
Those living beings who reside on higher planets like the sun and the moon, as well as those on Martya Loka, this earth planet, and also those who live on lower planets, all are merged into the waters of devastation during the night of Brahma. During this time, no living beings or species remain unmanifest, although
Remain manifest.
uh, all are merged into the waters of devastation during the night of Brahma. During this time, no living beings or species remain manifest, although spiritually they continue to exist. This unmanifested stage is called avyakta. Again, when the entire universe is vanquished at the end of Brahma's lifetime, there is another avyakta stage. But beyond these two unmanifested stages is another unmanifested stage, the spiritual atmosphere or nature. There are a great number of spiritual planets in this atmosphere, and these planets exist eternally, even when all the planets within this material universe are vanquished at the end of Brahma's life. There are many material universes, each under the jurisdiction of a Brahma, and this cosmic manifestation within the jurisdiction of the various Brahmas is but a display of 1/4 of the energy of the Lord. Ekapad Vibhuti. This is the inferior energy. Beyond the jurisdiction of Brahma is the spiritual nature, which is called Tripat Vibhuti, 3/4 of the Lord's energy. This is the superior energy of
All para prakriti. Okay. So Prabhupada in these paragraphs gives a clear understanding of the nature of the material and the nature of the spiritual. The material world cannot be made deathless because it is a place of death, because there is matter is undergoing transformation, the Shad Vikar or the Tri Vikar. And if you're trying to make this place deathless, it is foolish. And the reason is because you don't have information of a deathless spiritual nature. And this nature is given in the Vedas. But Prabhupada says, unfortunately, man is averse to this Vedic knowledge. And then Prabhupada quotes these three types of para, apara shaktis, the superior energy, the material energy, Tritiya Shakti, and the para, the apara, and the matter. All these three energies which are mentioned, and Prabhupada quotes this verse, very famous verse from the Bhagavad Gita, Parastastu bhava anyo vyakto vyaktat sanatana yahasa sarveshu bhuteshu natsyatsu na vinashati. Para means transcendental, tasmat tu bhava, bhava means nature, anya, there is another nature. Now, this material nature, vyakta means manifest. Avyakta means it is unmanifest. Now, Sanatan is adjective to avyakta. Please remember this. Please remember this very carefully. This you have to understand. Now, the material nature is manifest sometimes and it is unmanifest. It goes through this transformation: creation, maintenance, destruction, creation, maintenance, destruction, creation, maintenance, destruction. So sometimes it is Vyakta and it is Avyakta. But that transcendental nature, the spiritual nature, is Avyakta. It is unmanifested to us, to our eyes. And then Krishna is pointing this Yahasa Sarveshu Bhuteshu. This material nature which goes through Vyakta and Avyakta, Nasyatsu, it is destroyed. Whereas that Para nature, na Vinashati, it is never destroyed. So you have to go to the previous verses. Here in the previous verses, Avyakta Vyakta Sarva Prabhavante Aharagame Ratragame Pralayante Tatra Avyaktat Samjake Avyaktat. Avyaktat means from the unmanifest, they become manifest, the living entities, during the day of Brahma. And when night comes, there is annihilation, and then they again become unmanifest. So they are manifest, Avyakta, and they are unmanifest, Avyakta, and they manifest, Vyakta. Now this body which we see is Vyakta. Now, if I'm 45 years old, so 45 years before, or 46 years before, this body was not manifesting. It was Avyakta. Now it is Vyakta. And maybe if I live another 20, 30 years, so after 70 years, after say another 35 years, this body will be unmanifest again. So same as this universe. So I hope devotees are clearly able to understand, this Vyakta and Avyakta. Avyakta is in relation to the spiritual nature. It is not manifest to our eyes because it is spiritual in nature. And then Prabhupada mentions how, there are different time scales in the upper planetary systems. Just our 1 day, 1 year is equal to just a day there. So this calculation we will see now very soon in the slides. And, when the night of Brahma happens, then, there is a universal annihilation. So we'll see the 4 types of annihilations also in the slide. So let us go back to the slides now. Yes. Now see this chart very carefully. Prabhupada explained about the life of Brahma in his purport. So this is the creation, and this is the full devastation, final devastation. And Brahma lives for 100 years. It is called as Dvipararda. Pararda refers to first 50 years, and the next 50 years is called as the second Pararda, which is Dvipararda. So Brahma has lived his 50 years now, and it is Brahma's birthday going on. This is 51st year. It is the first month going on, and the first day of Brahma is going on. So let us now, expand this 1 day of Brahma. This 1 day of Brahma is called as Kalpa. So there is a night before this, and this side also there is night. And during the day of Brahma, Sahastra Yuga Paryantam Tad Ahar Brahmano Vidu, Bhagavad Gita 8.17. When Satya Treta Dwapar Kali, these 4 Chatur Yugas, 1,000 times when they go like this in a cycle, then Aha means the day of Brahma. And similarly, like that, when 1,000 cycles, that is the night of Brahma, where material universes are unmanifest in one sense. So night is also the same length. So this is 1 day of Brahma is 4.32 million years. And this 1 day of Brahma is ruled by 14 Manvantaras or 14 Manus, and they rule. And if you divide that, it becomes 72 Chaturyugas. And there are 15 Sandhyas. We'll come to the concept of Sandhyas a little later. So just like you can imagine, our day begins morning 6 o'clock when the sun rises, and then night, the evening 6 o'clock, the sun sets, the day ends. So from night 6 o'clock till next day morning 6 o'clock is night. So roughly, 12 hours, if you calculate 12 hours into 14, 12 hours into 14, 12 hours is 60 minutes divided by 14. Around 50 minutes or 40 minutes, something like that. Every 40 minutes, is for Brahma, one Manvantar period going on, So now the 7 Manvantara is going on. And each Manu I mentions, he rules for 71 Divya Yugas. The 7th is going on, so it is approximately, from morning 6 to evening 6. The 7th is in the middle. So it is afternoon for Brahma there in Brahmaloka. And I mentioned that each Manu rules for 71 Divyugas. Now the 28th Divyuga cycle is going on. Satya, Treta, Dwapar and Kali. We are here now. So we are here now. Now, at the beginning and the end of each Yuga, there are Sandhyas, each equal to 1/12th time of the Yuga in which it is. So Kali Yuga is 4,32,000 years. So there is a Sandhya period. So 4,32,000 divided by 12, it is 36,000 years. So right now, Kali Yuga has become 5,000 and odd years back. So we are still going through the Sandhya period. Actual real Kali Yuga begin when the Sandhya period is over. So that is 3,60,000 years is actual Kali Yuga. And then there is again a Sandhya period at the end, which is again 36,000 years. At the end of each Manvantara, there is another Sandhya Kal, when a great flood wipes out most life on earth. At the end of the Kalpa, all life on earth is destroyed, but the planets continue to exist. The souls of individuals also continue to exist to be reincarnated in the next daytime of Brahma. So there are partial annihilations which happen, when Manvantar also changes. Not only when Manvantar changes, even when the Yugas from Satya to Dwapar, Dwapar to Satya to Treta, Treta to Dwapar, Dwapar to Kali Yuga also, there are some changes which happen. There are some partial annihilations which happen. At the end of the life of Brahma, Mahapralaya, the entire universe and its heavens and hells are all destroyed. This is what Prabhupada is also explaining. So Kali Yuga is 4,32,000 years. We will, give it a term K. Dwapar is 2K, Treta is 3K, Satya Yuga is 4K. And one Mahayuga, Divya Yuga is one cycle of Satya, Treta, Dwapar and Kali. So 4K plus 3K plus 2K plus K is 10K. And one Manvantara is what? 71 Mahayugas. So 71 into 10K, 710K. Each Manvantara is preceded and followed by Sandhya Kal. I mentioned during the Manvantar change also there is a Sandhya Kal that is equal to 4K. So in the day of Brahma, there are 14 Manvantaras plus 15 Sandhya Kals. So 14 into 710K and 15 into 4K. All this multiplied comes to 10,000K. 1,000 into 10K is 1,000 Mahayugas. Sahastra Yuga Paryantam Tad Ahar Brahmano Vidu. So this is the day of Brahma. So one day is how much? 4.32 billion human years. One night is also equal to one day. That is 4.32 billion human years. So 1 hour is equal to 4.32 billion human years divided by 12. That is 360 million human years. 1 hour. Remember that. 1 minute is divided by 60. It is 6 million human years. Brahmaji's 1 minute there and 6 million human years have passed. 1 second is equal to 1 lakh human years. From Brahmaji, 1 second has passed, and here on planet Earth, 1 lakh human years have gone. Can you imagine? You cannot trace your family generation also. So 1 year is 360 days and 360 nights. So 1 year is 360 into 2 into 4.32. That is 3.1104 trillion human years. This is 100 years of Brahma. 311.04 trillion human years. So this is the lifespan of Brahma. Please remember this. Okay. Interesting now. What is the age of Earth? Time lapse since Brahma's day started is equal to 6 Manvantaras plus 7 Sandhyas plus 27 Mahayugas, because this is the 27th Chaturyuga going, and we are on the 28th now. So 6 into 710K plus 7 into 4 Sandhyas plus 27 into 10K. 27 Chaturyugas have gone through. So this calculation comes to 1.972949108 billion years. This is the age of Earth. And what is the age of universe? Age of Brahma. This age of Brahma is now 50 years of Brahma have passed, plus now the age of Earth. The first day of Brahma is going on now just. So add this 50 years of Brahma plus the age of Earth, and you get 155.5219729491108 trillion years. So this is right now the age of universe. It's almost like half of 3.11.04 trillion years. Half of it is 155. You can see that, right? Now, it's an interesting thing to meditate upon. In 1 millisecond of Brahma, unlimited, the soul goes to unlimited different various species of life. Unlimited bodies, it goes through changes. Shad Vikar within the body and within different species in 1 millisecond of Brahma. Here's an interesting, story. Oh, Brahmaji, I heard that your 1 second is your 1 lakh years. Yes, son. And that your $1 is your 1 lakh dollars. Can I have your $1, please? Wait a second, my child. So when he waits for a second, what happens? He's, millions and millions of bodies he has changed. So it is to be meditated upon and taken very, very seriously. Prabhupada is saying in this purport. Now we have all heard about Loma Maharsha Rishi. He had a benediction that his one hair would fall in one Brahma's day. And he would die when all of his hair had fallen. So this is the benediction has Loma Harsha Rishi. Loma means the body, the bodily pore hairs. One hot day, he was meditating on the bank of Ganga while his disciples thought of constructing some shade to protect him from the scorching sun. While they were busy, The sage opened his eyes and asked them not to waste the precious time on irrelevant things. According to him, life is very short and must be used in pursuit of spirituality. So this is Lomharsha Rishi, whose life, we can't even imagine such a long life he has. And he's saying, don't waste your time in trivial things. Life is very short. Use all your time in spirituality. Now, compared to Lomharsha Rishi, how long is our life? And how much serious we have to be in our pursuit of Krishna consciousness. Okay, so this is regarding Brahma's day and night calculation. Now let us go into the four kinds of annihilation. The four kinds of annihilation: constant, nitya, occasional, material, and final. And the chanting of the holy name of the Lord Hetiri, which is the only means of stopping the cycle of material life. 1000 cycles of 4 ages constitute one day of Brahma, and each day of Brahma is called Kalpa, contains within it the lifetimes of 14 Manus. The duration of Brahma's night is the same as that of his day. During his night, Brahma sleeps, and the three planetary systems meet destruction. This is called naimittic or occasional annihilation. So the constant annihilation is the body is constantly dying now. And when the final death comes, we call it death. Nashati happens. Vinashati. So there is constant death happening. And then there is occasional. Here Brahma's night is mentioned. When Brahma's lifespan of 100 years is finished, there occurs a prakritic or the total material annihilation. At that time, the 7 elements of material nature, beginning with the Mahata and the entire universal egg composed of them, are destroyed. When a person achieves knowledge of the absolute truth, he understands factual reality. He perceives the entire created universe as separate from the absolute and therefore unreal. That is called Adhyantika or final annihilation, liberation. At every moment, time inevitably transforms the body of all created beings and all other manifestations of matter. This process of transformation causes the living entity to undergo the constant annihilation of birth and death. Those possessed of subtle vision state that all creatures, including Brahma himself, are always subjected to generation and annihilation. Material life means subjugation to birth and death, or generation and annihilation. The only boat suitable for crossing the ocean of material existence, which is otherwise impossible to cross, is the boat of submissive hearing of the nectarian pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the 12th canto, 4th chapter, verse 1, where the 4 kinds of annihilation are discussed. Okay, so this is in discussion with the paragraphs which we read, where the theme was the Vedas gave the death-filled and the death-free world. Any questions about Brahma's calculation, the lifespan of Earth? Yes, Lata Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhu, when you were just talking about the occasional annihilation, that is during the night of Brahma, so all the 14 planetary systems will be, the Brahmaloka will not be annihilated, but I have read somewhere Maharjana Tapa will also not be annihilated. From Swargaloka to the Patala Loka will be annihilated. Is it like that, Prabhu? And
Yes.
when that annihilation happens, the living entities enter into the stomach of Garbhodakashai Vishnu, and complete annihilation happens then to Mahavishnu. Is my understanding right?
Yeah, it is correct. It is correct. There is a partial annihilation happens where there is a, where the devastating waters cover the entire 3 planetary systems. The Bhuloka, Varloka, and Swargaloka. And only the upper planets, there is no need of sun there, because only sun is required in these planets, and in the lower planets there is no, it's darkness always. So like that, there are no living beings, in these, and only in the upper planets they're all self-illuminated bodies they have. So they see this devastation happening, and they also move up, and they go to the higher planet and go to the planet of Brahma. And when the night of Brahma comes, Brahma goes to sleep, and it is said that Brahma goes and into the navel of Garbhodak Shai Vishnu, and all living entities also go to sleep. Brahma also goes to sleep. All the living entities also go to sleep. So Brahma sleeps for 12 hours. Our Sampradaya Acharya Brahmaji sleeps for 12 hours. But the kind of task also Brahma does, creation, it's not an easy task. So like that. So your understanding is correct. And when the final annihilation happens, all the universes are also annihilated, and Brahma, along with all the jivas, if Brahma becomes a pure devotee, then he can go back to the spiritual world. Otherwise, he enters back into the body of Mahavishnu. So your understanding is correct, Mataji.
Thank you, bro.
Okay. Devahuti Kapil Prabhuji, yes.
So, Prabhuji, you mentioned about Sandhya, right? Before every yuga, there is a
There's a
Sandhya.
Sandhya Kala, yes.
So, what exactly is this concept of Sandhya? We understand that it is there before and after. Did I miss it when you said, or what exactly is this Sandhya? What happens?
Sandhya is usually, the three Sandhyas, from night to, sunrise, when there is night, and then the sun rises, there is a transformation, there is a change which happens, transition which happens from the night to the day, and from the day to the night, like that. That's why during the Sandhya we chant the Sandhya Vandana, because there are transformations happen and these affect our body and consciousness. So to avoid it, we chant. So similarly, there is a transition which happens from the Dwapar to the Kali Yuga. And this transition happens gradually through the Sandhya period. There is a Sandhya period at the end of Dwapara, and there is a Sandhya period with the beginning of Kali, and then there is the main Yuga period, the Kali Yuga period. So like that, these Sandhya periods are there, and the Sandhya periods are calculated, and our Shastras give a very clear understanding about it. So that's why it is mentioned that, during the Sandhya time, that is early morning, the time is there, the period is there exactly. When from what time to what time, like 6:10, 6:10 to 6:20 is the Sandhya Kal period. So that time only you have to chant your Gayatri. So that is because the transition is happening from Sattva to Rajas, and then Rajas to Tamas, Madhyan also there is there. So all these transitions are there, and those are the Sandhya periods where these transitions happen. And according to that, the calculations are given that this is the Kal, this is the period of the Sandhyas. So just like the day, there are the Sandhya periods. So like that, for the different yugas, there are the Sandhya Kals, like that.
Okay, okay. So, Prabhu, I have also heard that, Prabhupada mentioned somewhere there'll be 10,000 golden years in Kali Yuga. So, is that during the Sandhya period or actually during
Yeah, it's
actual?
just during the Sandhya period, because
Okay,
the Sandhya is going to last, the Kali Yuga Sandhya is going to last for 36,000 years.
okay.
And Kali Yuga, real effects are going to begin after the Sandhya Kal. You can imagine what is going to be. We can't even imagine what is the situation after next 50 years. No, how things are going to degrade in Kali Yuga. But we are still in the Sandhya Kal.
Mm.
And since the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for the next 10,000 years, there's the golden age where the teachings of Lord Chaitanya are going to be there. And anyone who takes advantage can perfect his life and go back to the spiritual world. So
And
that's how we should learn.
And Mahaprabhu's avatar, how frequently it happens, that is a
That is happens just like Krishna incarnates once in a day of Brahma, once in a day of Brahma. So immediately after Krishna incarnates, Mahaprabhu comes. So even Mahaprabhu incarnation is once in a day of Brahma. That's rare, how rare it is. Okay. Any other questions? And somebody else also had raised their hand. Okay, no. Yes, Sambhutim Amrutam Ashnute. So the Vedas speak about this deathless and death-filled words, and how you can transcend death by surrendering to the Sambhuti, that is Krishna, surrender. Paragraph 7 to 9. So who will read paragraph 7 to 9? This is 7, 8, and 9. 10 and 11 is here. Okay, 7, 8, and 9. Who will read? I think Nitya Sevini Mataji had raised her hand. Yes, Nitya Sevini Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Teacher is going to read to students
Yes.
now.
Yes, Prabhu. The predominating supreme person residing within the spiritual nature is Lord Sri Krishna. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 8.22, he can be approached only by unalloyed devotional service and not by the process of jnana, yoga, and karma. The karmis or fruitive workers can elevate themselves to the Swargaloka planets, which includes the sun and the moon. Jnanis and yogis can attain still higher planets, such as Mahaloka, Tapoloka, and Brahmaloka. And when they become still more qualified through devotional service, they can enter into the spiritual nature, either the illuminating cosmic atmosphere of the spiritual sky, Brahman, or the Vaikuntha planets according to their qualification. It is certain, however, that no one can enter into the spiritual Vaikuntha planets without being trained in the devotional service. On the material planets, everyone from Brahma down to the ant is trying to lord it over material nature, and this is the material disease. As long as this material disease continues, the living entity has to undergo the process of bodily change. Whether he takes the form of a man, demigod, or animal, he ultimately has to endure an unmanifested condition during the two devastations. The devastation during the night of Brahma and the devastation at the end of Brahma's life. If we want to put an end to this process of repeated birth and death, as well as the concomitant factors of old age and disease, we must try to enter the spiritual planets where we can live eternally in the association of Lord Krishna and his plenary expansions.
Or his plenary expansion.
Or his plenary expansions, his Narayana forms. Lord Krishna or his plenary expansions dominate every one of these innumerable planets, a fact confirmed in the Shruti mantras, Eko Vasi Sarvaga Krishna Idya Ekopi. Idya Ekopi San Bahudha Yo Vabhati Gopala Tapani Upanishad 1.21. No one can dominate Krishna. It is the conditioned soul who tries to dominate material nature and is instead subjected to the laws of material nature and the sufferings of repeated birth and death. The Lord comes here to re-establish the principles of religion, and the basic principle is the development of an attitude of surrender to Him. This is the Lord's last instructions in the Bhagavad Gita 18.66. Sarva dharma parityaja mamekam sharanam praja. Give up all
Sarva dharman
parityaja mamekam sharanam praja. Give up all other processes and just surrender unto me alone. Unfortunately, foolish men have misinterpreted this prime teaching and misled the masses of people in diverse ways. People have been urged to open hospitals, but not to educate themselves to enter into the spiritual kingdom by devotional service. They have been taught to take interest only in temporary relief work, which can never bring real happiness to the living entity. They start varieties they start they start varieties of public and semi-governmental institutions to tackle the devastating power of nature, but they don't know how to pacify in surmountable nature. Many men are advertised as great scholars of Bhagavad Gita, but they overlook the Gita's message by which material nature can be pacified. Powerful nature can be pacified only by the awakening of God consciousness, as clearly pointed out in the Bhagavad Gita 7.14.
Okay. So in these 3 paragraphs, Prabhupada is speaking about this theme, how only by surrender to Krishna we can transcend death. Prabhupada in this paragraph explains that he had spoken about these 3 natures, the spiritual nature, the material nature, and the Tatastha Shakti. And right now the Tatastha Shakti is in contact with matter. And although it is a superior energy, right now it is entangled in the inferior energy. So in this particular paragraph, Prabhupada speaks that Lord Sri Krishna resides in the spiritual nature, the spiritual world. And he can be only approached by the Lord devotionally. Purusha sa para partha, Purusha that para, Purusha, parastasmatu bhavanya, avyakto shari iti ukta stamahu paramam gatim yam prapinarivantate tadhama paramam mama. After speaking this, then Krishna says, Purusha sa para partha bhaktya labdhyas tu ananyaya. Yasyanta stani bhutani yena sarvam idam tatam. So he can be attained. How can that be Purusha be attained? By unalloyed devotion, Ananya Bhakti, only by Ananya Bhakti or Shuddha Bhakti. So this point again, same thing Prabhupada is emphasizing, not by karma, jnana or yoga. By karma, one can go maximum up till Swarga. Now it is interesting, by jnana or Ashtanga, based on the level of advancement of consciousness, one can go to Mahara, Tapa and up to Brahmaloka. And further, this is, you can say, Ashtanga Yoga, by Ashtanga Yoga, where there is an element of bhakti. But Prabhupada is saying that one is still more qualified by devotional service. Then he is now speaking about Yoga Mishra Bhakti. Yoga Mishra Bhakti. Actually, chapter 8 of Bhagavad Gita is speaking about Yoga Mishra Bhakti, where bhakti is predominant and there is an element of yoga. So by Yoga Mishra Bhakti, one can enter into what? Either Brahman, or with further advancement, he can enter into the Vaikuntha planets. Prabhupada is saying very clear, according to qualification. So there has to be bhakti. Bhakti has to be predominant, whether it is Shuddha or Mishra. Because even by Mishra Bhakti, you can attain Vaikuntha planets. By Vaidhi Bhakti, you can attain. But of course, to attain Golok Vrindavan, it's only by Shuddha Bhakti or Ananya Bhakti. And then Prabhupada mentions in this paragraph, our root cause or the root disease is to lord it over material nature. Now, this is something which we need to deeply meditate. We have this controlling tendency. Everyone is small Bhagwan. We control, our house, or we control our things, what we have, we control our car, or whatever it is. So this tendency to control is very, very, very deep rooted. This is the root cause of our staying in the material existence. So one has to be very careful of this deep rooted anartha. And Prabhupada in the 15th chapter, in the Purushottam Yoga, brings out this point. And this paragraph is very, very interesting. He says, while one is performing devotional service in the association of pure devotees in full Krishna consciousness, there are certain things which require to be vanquished altogether. Most important thing one has to surmount is the weakness of the heart. Hridaya Daurbalya. The first fall down is caused by the desire to lord it over material. This is the weakness of the heart. Thus, one gives up transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord. The second weakness of the heart is that one increases the propensity to lord it over material nature. So please understand the difference between the two. One is to lord it over material nature, and then to increase the propensity. I've got now, by having a company, I've got a car, bungalow. Now I want to expand my company business. The propensity to lord it over, we want to expand that so that I can have more cars, more bungalows. He becomes attached to matter and possession of matter. The problems of material existence are due to these weakness of the heart. In this chapter, the first 5 verses describe the process of freeing oneself from the weakness of the heart. And the rest of the chapter from 6 to the end describe the yoga by which we can get connected. So the same thing is being also Prabhupada is presenting here in the purport that the root cause is the material disease, that is lording over material nature. And that is why if you have this disease, you will continue to go through the Shadvikar. You will continue to go through these devastations, happening, the devastation of the body, the devastation at the end of Kalpa, the devastation at the end of Mahakalpa. So if you want to end this, then you should enter into the spiritual world where there is the association of the Lord, either as Krishna or in his expansions. And Prabhupada in this next paragraph, he mentions the way to establish our relationship with Krishna is through surrender. Sarvadharman Paritijya. And how people take temporarily bodily relief and forget this eternal instruction. That's what Prabhupada brings out. And sometimes there are so many things we do to surmount material nature. But the way to surmount material nature is to surrender to Krishna. Devi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Durataya Mameva Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. So that is the way. So the last 2 paragraphs speak about give up misconceptions to attain mortality. You have to also give up misconceptions in order to attain mortality. So that is spoken in the last 2 paragraphs. Okay. So what are the misconceptions? So let us see that. Who will read the last 2 paragraphs? Mohan Rup Sham Prabhuji is going to read. Okay. Both hands went down. So whom I should select?
Yes,
Yes, Prabhuji.
In
Yes.
this mantra.
Maybe
in
you
this
read one paragraph and Mataji will read one paragraph.
Yes, Prabhu.
This mantra?
In this mantra, Sri Isopanisad teaches that one must perfectly know about Samputi, the personality of...
No, both, not about.
Okay. Perfectly know both Samputi, the personality of Godhead, and Vinasha, the temporary material manifestation, side by side. By knowing the material manifestation alone, one cannot be saved. For in the course of nature, there is a devastation at every moment. Agani bhutani gachanita yamalayam. Nor can one be saved from these devastations by the opening of hospitals. One can be saved only by complete knowledge of the eternal life of bliss and awareness. The whole Vedic scheme is meant to educate men in this art of attaining eternal life. People are often misguided by temporary attractive things based on sense gratification. But service rendered to the sense objects is both misleading and
And
degrading.
degrading. Okay. So here Prabhupada is mentioning that in order to attain that spiritual world, one should know both Sambhuti and Vinash. So once I was with one Prabhupada disciple, and he was mentioning about a book, the 100 greatest devastations which have happened on planet Earth. And he was saying that if one reads that book, one will become completely, dukkhalaya shashwatam, that realization will become deeply ingrained in his heart, he was saying. And he was mentioning about, all these destructions or devastations which have happened on planet Earth, those 100 greatest devastations. He was narrating one after another, and hearing that, sobered us and actually humbled us. So in one of the narrations, he was mentioning that there was one prison cell, where there were thousands of prisoners. It was, somewhere in the deep forest, near to the, ocean, and it was guarded heavily with barbed fences and with the security post. And one day night, the power was off, and there was a heavy tide in the ocean, and the water started entering inside this prison cells, which was barbed with wire fences. And along this ocean also there was a river, and the river water also swelled up, and there were a lot of crocodiles within this river. And these crocodiles entered inside, this barbed fence where all the prisoners were there. And whole night, they were only hearing the cries of the men. And huge number of crocodiles, entered and completely, you can say, killed all these prisoners. Next day, only their bodies were seen. So, like that, these devastations are mentioned. So, only knowing about Vinasha will also not help. One should know perfectly both Sambhuti and Vinash side by side. Alone, one cannot be saved. Because, the devastation is happening at every moment. Ahani hani bhutani gachantya iha yamalayam. This is from the Mahabharata, Yudhishthira Maharaj speaking. And nor the devastations can be stopped by opening of hospitals, because nobody is going to survive. It doesn't mean that, one should not try to save a patient, but one should have a clear understanding. And one should have the knowledge of there is eternal life of bliss and knowledge. And the whole Prabhupada's statement, is very punching. The whole Vedic scheme is meant to educate men in this art of attaining life. But people are misguided in sense gratification. And such service, rendering of service of the senses for the sense objects, is misleading and degrading. Okay, next paragraph. Yes, Lata Mataji, you can read.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. We must therefore save ourselves and our fellow man in the right way.
No, and our fellow man.
Okay. We must therefore save ourselves and our fellow man in the right way. There is no question of killing or disliking the truth. It is there. If we want to be saved from the repeated birth and death, we must take to the devotional service of the Lord. There can be no compromise, for this is a matter of necessity.
Yeah. So Prabhupada is saying you should save ourselves and our fellow man. That is through preaching. And sometimes, we might become negative about the material world, and we might go through negativity. So truth is truth. So there's no question of liking and disliking the truth. Truth is as it is. You have to accept it. It is like this. This is the nature of the material world. And just 2 days back, we were hearing that there have been always wars going on in this material world. Never in the history you'll find, that there were no wars. So some or the other war was going on, even in the Vedic times, you can see. And now also you can see some wars are going on. Because this is the nature of the material world. So then, that's why Prabhupada concludes, if we want to be saved from this repeated birth and death, one must take to devote service. And it is a matter of necessity. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. Should see that there is repeated birth and death in this material world. Darshan means to see philosophically. So that's how Prabhupada gives the conclusion here. Okay, so we have finished our discussion on mantra 14. Mantra 15 to mantra 18 is the last theme, the Upanishads. So tomorrow we will begin discussion on mantra 15. There is the prayers to the Ishwar. Very interesting it is. Now, after understanding the right Vidya and the right Upasana, how the devotee prays to the Ishwar, ultimately one has to surrender and beseech the Lord for the Lord to reveal. So here there is a transition you can see in this Upanishads where the devotee is praying to reveal the face of the Lord. So the absolute truth is not impersonal, he is personal. So that will also get revealed in mantra 15. This we will see tomorrow. Any questions, any clarifications? Okay, one question. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, when you were describing about the Sandhya Kal, there is like 36,000 years in the Kali Yuga, the beginning and then at the end also. And the in-between period is the exact influence of Kali Yuga will be there.
That is the exact
So,
period of the Kali Yuga.
exact. So at the end of the Kali Yuga also, that Sandhya Kal, there will be like, it will be little different. The exact influence may not be there.
Well, that Sandhya Kal period at the end of Kali Yuga is because there's a transition happening to Satya Yuga, and that transition happens gradually. So, and there is the avatar which is going to come at the end of Kali Yuga, and so that's why a slow transition is going to happen. And how exactly it is, or whether what is the period, whether it is going to be a better period than the actual Kali Yuga, which is 36 lakh, 4,32,000 years. This is 3,60,000 years. I really don't have any idea much about it. But there is a transition happening, and that's why that facilitates during the Sandhya period. This transition facilitates the changes which are going to take place, so that the next yuga, those changes also gradually manifest, because in the next yuga also there is a transition period there. So like that. I hope it is satisfactory to you, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Any other questions? Somebody else also had raised their hand. Yes, Virendra Yadav Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandot Pranam. Prabhu, just one clarification. We have seen in mantra 12, 13 and 14, this Sambhuti and Asambhuti has been given different meanings. So on what basis these different meanings are there?
Yeah, I mentioned that the every term, the text, in the text you will have to see in the context, and that the acharyas who are coming in the Guru Shishya Parampara, it is revealed to them in the heart. And that's how we can get the right understanding. Otherwise, we will simply mentally speculate. That's what the Gyanis do and come up with our own concocted understanding. So only those acharyas who are coming in the Guru Shishya Parampara, they give the right understanding. In this verse, Sambhuti means this, and Asambhuti means this. So that's how we get the right understanding of what is the meaning of Sambhuti and Asambhuti.
Right. Thank you.
Devahuti Kapil Prabhuji. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have one question regarding in higher planets, you gave the calculation of ages, right? So one day there is this many human years. You presented a slide. So I came across one story where King Indradumna goes to Brahmaloka to perform the first Jagannath Arti, and by the time he goes there, there'll be like 70,000 years pass by, and then so that was in a different yuga. So my question is, in this age also, I heard that some of the people have the mystique powers to go to higher planetary systems and then meet the sages and talk and come back. Even now, some people do that. So will they be losing that time? Say, for example, when they traverse through space to higher planets and they come back, so will the effect of time be the same? And when King Indradumna went to Brahmaloka, did he go in a spiritual body, or during those yugas they were able to travel with their physical bodies?
Well, just to give you a material example, even when you go into, say, a certain kind of a laboratory you're visiting, which is having certain kind of environment and conditions, you wear a certain kind of dress, a certain kind of, suit is given to you so that you can pass through. Even when the patient is taken inside an hospital, the doctors wear a particular kind of dress because, that kind of standards are required. Similarly, you know, when these yogis, this is mentioned in the second canto, when they pass through all these different levels of planets, they are, they when they are passing, they are getting purified of the elements and getting a different kinds of levels of bodies, and in those bodies they are traveling. So that's what it is stated.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
Prabhuji.
So we will stop here, and tomorrow we will discuss mantra 15. So mantra 15, 16, 17, 18. 4 mantras are remaining. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sheesh Upanishads ki jai. Hare Krishna.